welcome. These are horse racing selections for Friday, the 4th of October. I am Flatcap Callum and I'm hoping you are all very, very well. All right, Friday we've reached, and some of you have an absolute treat because you had me in the morning and now you've got me in the evening. Last night's video ended up being in the morning. This night is on schedule. We'll do the quick review. That will be quick. And then Friday's bet is the same again. It's a Trixie. This time they are all in the star system, but they are some decent prices. So 3 decent priced horses hitting the star system. 2 1-stars, 1 2-stars. I have written it on the slip tonight. And then this will be the traditional Thursday night ramble slot. So each Thursday will be a longer video for those that love all the rambles. And the plan, I think, is going to be that each Thursday, the first Thursday of the month, which this one is, this ramble will be a bit of a stats deep dive. So for those of you who love the stats, or just want to try and have a bit of a reasoning behind the stats, then this is for you. So I'll do the review, the bet, the stats, and there'll be a bunch of other stuff I'll just chunch on about as we get there. All right, so Thursday's bet. Where's Thursday's bet? Pants, wasn't it? Absolutely pants. That was absolutely never involved. That went from the front. The front two just went too fast in that race. So you didn't see its true running really. And that was no good. So the bet was toast. I mean, the thing was, only one of them hit the star system. 2 of them did not. None of them are worthy really of the outcome. So minus 550, I think that puts us about minus 4 something for the week, minus 417, something like that on the stats. Then we'll get into Fridays. So Friday, this is what I'm offering you. It's 850 total stake, 3 horses. So 235 Fontwell. The significance about this, it's the first UK jumps horse of the channel return. So I've been back 2 weeks. First time I put a jumps horse on. We've got dish of the day, 1 star, 25 to 1. At the moment I'm probably more likely to play jumps horses in the novice and maiden type stuff. You have to go. You have to get through a lot of losers to get to the decent ones. But quite like dish of the day. It hasn't been seen for a while. Last time out it pulled up, didn't run a great race. The time it did complete over hurdles, it was similar sort of ground and it ran a decent enough race. If it got back to that standard, then it's absolutely going to be competitive in this race. There's a question mark about that. I really like the fact James Bowen's been booked to ride it. He does ride quite a bit for Nicky Martin. It's on unbelievable form. The last 2 weeks he's above 50% strike rate, which is unreal. And he does ride Fontwell quite well. So if you actually look at the course stats, these aren't reasons why I've picked the horse. I've picked the horse based on the form and the ratings and a few other bits and bobs. But these sort of bits about like jockey booking and stuff are kind of more reinforcement than anything else. So you need that horse. You need a bit of a leap of faith for it to be bouncing back. But if it can get back to the form, they've got it righted again, then I think it could be competitive of a nice price. So we've got that in. 4:15 Newcastle Polar Princess. That is the standout of the day. And to be honest, if it wasn't a class 5 handicap, probably would have gone up the star rating a bit more. But Polar Princess, it's not run that many bad races. It's just not really been at the business end. Where it's going to excel is when it gets back on the all weather, which it's got at Newcastle over a mile and a half. It's only ever one race, and that was at Newcastle, and it was off £5 higher mark. So it's handicapped to run well. The bit for me is I'm just not 100% whether. You may well see improved performance. Not that it's been massively out of form. It's more about the fact that actually, when you look at the trend of the horse, it really starts to sort of gain momentum through this time of year, and then probably starts getting really decent December, January. So it may well still need a couple of runs on the all weather before you see its true ability. But at the prices on an 8-runner race, it was too good to be walking past that one, because as I said the other day, like, you know, it's one of the only kind of specifications in terms of actual runners. 8 runners, you've got a better than 1 in 3 chance of getting a horse frame. So when you've got one at a decent price that's handicapped like that one is, it's worth trying. So that's in. And then finished off 4:30, got nothing in the evening, and you will note nothing at Dundalk. It's a very substandard Dundalk meeting in terms of, not substandard in terms of quality. There's a listed race and what have you, but in terms of the big field basement race handicaps that I like getting involved in, nothing like that. So I've left out that completely. So 4:30 Ascot Woodeo 40-1. Massively overpriced. I don't understand why that's priced the way that is. It ran last time in the Portland and ran no sort of race, but it's not its sort of gig. It's a bad ground horse. The Portland race was a good race in terms of good ground. The time before that it ran Goodwood. I think it was good to soft. It ran okay. It's basically hasn't had bad ground since it's come over to for the Osbornes. It was Donna O'Brien before that, and ran in some decent quality races. Shanty, it ran in Ireland, but all the best performances are on soft, heavy ground, and that's what it's going to have at Ascot. You haven't seen it out running like that yet, so I literally cannot understand why the horse is that price. I just can't believe it will be that price. There's definitely some question marks and some unknown stuff about it. That, you know, does it retain the ability it had? But the best stuff's on bad ground, so I can't see why it wouldn't run its best run for the Osbornes. And again, it's not a big field, that one. So yeah, it's only come out as a 1 star, but 40-1 I think is a really good price. So 50p each way Trixie, so that's £4. That's each way doubles and trebles, that adds up to £4, and 75p each way singles on all 3. £8.50 your bet. Sky are best because they've got an extra place on the Woodeo race. They're the only one, so that's best one. And I've marked up there, and this is more about time of making the video. 365 Paddy Betfair are your best ones for prices, because you can get there's a few with 40s on there. That you can get 33s on that and you get 20s on that. And it was originally going to be 20s. There's a couple of bookmakers dropped down now. So those are the 3. 8.50 is the bet. All right, that's that. If all you wanted that is that, cheerio. See you in another video. If you're here for the Stats Corner ramble, so the first Thursday of the month is Stats Corner. I feel like I need some sort of like jazzy intro music for Stats Corner, or like a drum roll, or who knows. All right, so where do we begin? I've got a bunch of notes, so excuse me when I'm just referring to notes, because as much as I can retain a lot of information in my head for Stats Corner, it's like a whole bunch of stuff. Like, so written that down. Well, by the way, yes, it is written on a notepad of Sharpies. All right, so where do we get to? So I can't even read my own writing here. Right, September. So the month of September, 9 vids we did in September on the return. It was a £94 stake, 234.51 back, £140 and 51p profit. That was 149% return on investment. You can't quibble with that. That's all right, isn't it? Total since I've been back is 112 on, £248.71 back. That's £136.71 profit, 122% profit margin. Now, a couple of things before I go to some other stuff on that. 122% profit margin is brilliant, right? So that's brilliant. Now, I guess it's useful just to stop and people get perspective, right? When I say it is brilliant, right? Profit margin, if that was what I got every single day or every single week or every single month, this game would be absolutely easy, wouldn't it? Like, you got 122% profit margin, so you put all your money on and you more than double your money every single time. That is unfortunately not realistic for what actually happens in, like, if you're betting professional, right? So if you're betting long term and you're making your living from it, if you're making 122%, then you'd be like the best of the best, right? So that's not sustainable. But if a period of time for 2 weeks of being back, it's an excellent looking figure. So manage everyone's expectations here, no matter what goes on in the next few months. we ain't going to finish the year on 122% profit margin unless we happen to hit a Bahamas day. If we hit Bahamas day, then we could be in business. But barring that, that isn't going to happen because the chunk of time's too big. So decent is. So then if you break that down, so I've broken it down in singles, multiples, and forecast tricast, the three types of bets. So if you bet it on, so the multiples element of it is which has been the best bit because we hit those couple of decent Yankees. £57 has been laid out on multiples, 175.92 back, and that's £118.92 profit, which is 208%. So if all you've done is bet the multiples as advised and got the prices that I've put up, you'd be on 208% profit. If all you did is bet the singles, 52.50 on, 71.79 back, a profit of 22.79. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 37% profit. That would be up there with like my kind of best full years of betting singles. Like, you know, that's a decent year if you get anywhere in that sort of range from a 37% profit margin. It's excellent. I mean, what I mean is just context as well. Historically, that would have been even easier to achieve than it is in modern day betting markets, because I think if you look back off the top of my head, the first year on the channel when I was literally recording everything to a Sky Bet account, so it was Sky Bet prices where you're losing out a bit, but Sky Bet plays terms where you're winning a little bit. My head says it was 36% was total for the year, which, you know, you've got an advantage of a Sky Bet account, but these days it is very, very hard. So if I hit 37% for a full year on singles, I'd be really, really happy with that. Then forecast tricast, we bet £3. We got a £1 refund for a non-runner, so it was -£2, so minus 66.6 recurring percent. I think that is quick maths. So that's that. So all in all looking good, and the key thing there is what I'm going to be looking for is it's all well and good being up on multiples, but if you're not up on singles, then you've got lucky on your multiples because you've hit the right ones in connection. What the singles bets are saying is 37% profit margin betting the singles is basically saying that we are in a good place overall. If you actually break that down, so I've got the figures here for that. So we've had 2 3-star horses, both lost. We've had 10. Is 10? No, 10. 10. Yeah, two 3-stars, both lost. 10 2-stars, one winner at 12s, and the others all got beaten. So the winner. If all you did is bet win singles, you'd be up. If you did each ways, you'd be down. And then we've had 17 1-star bets, 3 winners and 7 places. So that's 10 out of 17 are framing out of that. So that's 59% of those, which is pretty good. If you add it all together, 29 star horses, 4 winners and 7 places, which is a 38% strike rate total. And those who've been in a while will know I'm really going for about 30, 31, 32. We should be in decent enough shape if we're tracking that. If we start getting down into the 27s, 26s, that's when I'm going to have a bit more of an issue. And I'll just pause and dwell on that a little bit, because I know it's not how most people think and how you don't hear a lot of other folk talking about it, but my frame strike rate, so the percentage of horses hitting the frame, is a really, really important stat to me. It is not a stat that most other folk keep or worry about. They'll worry more, even if it's strike rate, they'll worry about win strike rate. Frame strike rate for me is more important, because if you're trying to connect stuff and place multiples, it makes a big difference. So overall, what we're saying is that betting the multiples and the singles has done well, but frame strike rate's 38%. So that tells me we should be in a good place, because we've had a frame strike rate of 38%. Also, 29 starred horses, 4 winners, 212 to 1, 210 to 1. If all you did was back win singles on those, that would be like a nice profit on them. What was I doing that? 44, you had a 48, put a pound win on them, you'd have £48 back from betting 29 horses. So that itself is, again, decent strike rate if all you're doing is betting win single. So comes out as like 14% strike rate for win strike rate. That is high by my usual quota. So I would expect that to drop down. So the frame strike rate is above average for this 2 weeks, and the win strike rate is. So bear in mind we've had one absolute zing a day, and then we've had kind of little bits and crappy bits. But that one zing a day is actually adding overall to some really, really decent figures over a 2 week period. But yeah, not sustainable to hit 14% win strike rate. There'll be lots of people out there that have a way better win strike rate than 14%. But if you work that out, 14% win strike rate, if my average bet was 7-1, you'd break even. But the average win price has actually been 11-1, which is much, much higher than that. So I need my win strike rate to be better, basically be in there with my lost my train of thought there. What was I trying to say? The average price needs to basically outweigh the percentage. So so 7-1 would be the average if you were breaking even, and we've got 11-1 for our wins. So that is decent. So 12-1 is the best we've had. Caveat that as well, and I didn't include these in the star system because I'm trying to keep separate figures. There's been 2 I've put in from Dundalk that didn't hit a star system, and there's been 3 kind of out the box ones that didn't hit the star system. If you add those 5 in, it will bring the stats down a little bit because there were 5 extra ones and they've all been losers. It doesn't mean extra Dundalk or extra out the box are all going to lose, but the ones I've put up so far have not been decent ones. Okay, hopefully you're still with me for some of you will, some of you will have nodded off by now. Okay, Stats Corner carries on. We've got a few interesting bits here about the types of races and where the races have been in this 2 week period. So the big negative stats, small negative stat at first is we've had 2 combo double bets. They've both been atrocious. They've both been 3 on 3 legs, and between 12 horses have had 2 placed out of 12. That's terrible. Those horses, again, are not included in the stats because they're not star system. So again, useful to flag that the fact that the star horses are winning out. And I also, probably helpful to say, I keep a log of the horses that I would pick usually for the channel, like they'd be in my thinking, but when I put them through the star criteria, don't make the cut. I keep a log and a track of those ones. So it's a bit like having a sample group to kind of say, actually, is all the extra work of putting something through the star system that I've created, does that yield a better win and play strike rate? And the answer is yes. In my research it did, and it is carrying on that way. So that was it. Although, yeah, the big bad stat is Kempton, which is historically one of my absolute fave tracks and excellent strike rate. I've put up 6 and we've had 0 from 6. So no winners, no places out of 6 horses from Kempton. Kempton's been a big fat letdown. And generally speaking on the all-weather, and this is on handicap, so I should caveat that. Handicaps. So Kempton handicaps 0 from 6, all-weather handicaps total 0 from 7. So that's been the letdown in stats. Good points in the stats. Newbury is what you want to do. Just follow me on Newbury. I've put up 2 horses from Newbury and they've both won. That's easy, isn't it? Put up 2 horses from Ayr. They've both placed. 4 horses from Newmarket and 3 placed. They're the tracks that are winning out so far on the very, very small sample size. Also, if all you did was follow me on Irish flat handicaps, I've put up 2 horses in the star rating system that have hit Irish flat. So not including Celtic Druid, which was a non-star horse, but I don't want to sort of think I'm trying to play fast and loose with the stats here. I'm quoting the star system stats, and I'll also, as I've said, I've quoted the fact that they're 0 from 5 and other things. But all we did is about the star system horses for flat Irish handicaps. You'd have 2 from 2 winners. So I've had 2 winners at Newbury and 2 in Irish flat handicaps. UK flat turf handicaps. So I said it was 0 from 7 on the all-weather on all-weather handicaps. Turf ones, no winners, but 7 places out of 10 is where we sat with. So yeah, that's pretty decent. 7 out of 10 placing. If I covered anything else on there, I think that was it for the main stats. I'll sort of get in a bit of a rhythm of the things I'll share each month, and then I'll try and share some other stuff. But for those of you who are kind of new, you hopefully can give you a bit of a flavour. So I keep a ton of stats. There's always stats in the description of every video, and you can go back and look at the history of the data and stuff like that. I absolutely have toyed with the idea of sharing spreadsheets and stuff in there, but it's one of those ones where it's just a bit much, to be honest. Be sharing Google Sheets and stuff like that. It's not like I'm doing this to make a mint load of money from people or anything like that. So, if I was inclined, like there are folk out there who want to do a paid service, then I would say absolutely the correct way to go about doing that is to keep your profit and loss in a nice clean spreadsheet and share it with folk. That would be a sensible thing to do. Anything I'm saying, you can go back and look at any of my videos and proof it. And because I'm not here to sell you anything, then I don't have to give you a bunch of false truths and stuff like some folk do. There are some decent ones out there, and there are some not decent ones. Most of you get the difference. Sadly, not everybody does, and some people fork out money for people who are selling them the world, and in essence, they're getting sand. There you go. So there's a bit of that going on. So yeah, I don't sort of share spreadsheets. It's all stats that's in the description of the video, but I keep stats on lots and lots of different things. And often if people have got a question about something or a theory about something and they ask me in the comments, I'll go away and do a bit of what I would call data mining and go and actually have a look in the data of what I've got. But since coming back with the star system, I wanted to keep really, really clear records of the different types of races. So whether it was a handicap, a novice, maiden, listed, bumper, whatever it might be, where it was. So over a period of time, I can keep the data. I think the only thing I would say that I've got a little thought about with the data so far, because 2 weeks is not enough to give you any real view on anything. The fact that the turf handicaps, if you combine Ireland and the UK, we're 9 from 12, so 75% strike rate of framing. That's ace, right? So that's way above average. The all-weather 0 from 7. The star system predominantly was created on flat turf racing, because the sort of the all-weather that happens over the summer is a bit intermittent and it's a different kind of gig to, the proper all-weather horses run in the winter on the all-weather. And so, yeah, I just a little thoughtful after 2 weeks of coming back on the channel that the star system was designed based off the results from flat turf, and so far it's proving to be very, very fruitful. I'm not. There's a little bit of a niggle that's in 2 weeks it's not translated well to the all-weather. So yeah, I'm thinking out loud. So I'm not saying I'm going to do anything different, because I don't want to be dramatically different. But I guess part of one of my thoughts is last year, where the years I've been doing the channel, where we've done particularly well is on the all-weather in the September to December period, and I didn't use a star system. So it may be the case that, a bit like I've started to do with Dundalk, I may look at the all-weather a little bit differently outside of the star system. Whichever way I look at it, I wouldn't have put a horse up from Dundalk for Friday. But yeah, I may well start having a little bit look differently than the star system if I think what I'm doing when I'm saying I'm keeping results that don't make the star system. That kind of helps me keep a bit of a monitor of it. And as much as the channel's well ahead of those, the all-weather ones have there's been some okay results on there without hitting the star system. So yeah, just a little bit thoughtful about that. So that's the other thing I'd say. But if anyone's got any questions about any of the stats and stuff that I keep or talk about or don't keep, and you want me to ask me about, shove it in the comments. I love talking data and stats. So yeah, I can talk to you to my heart's content about stuff, and I'll either tell you yes, I've got that, or no, I don't have it. None of that gets away from the fact that for the calendar year we're about 300 quid behind, because we had such just absolute dire, whatever it was, like 10 weeks before I went on my break, and then came back for bits and didn't get any better. The history of the channel is all good, right? So we're, whatever, 2,600, 2,700, something like that. for the whatever it is, well, 2.5 years, call it. It's slightly more than that, but there's obviously been a break in there. So those figures are fine. It's I'd just like to get the little monkey off my back about the start of this year. And as I've said it before, and I'm quite open about saying it, February this year was my worst ever month punting, full stop. Like, I lost more money in February than I've ever lost in 1 month ever. And then March was a really bad month. That's basically how it went for me. So I had the worst ever month followed by a really bad month. And it was just not a fun time. It really wasn't. Because actually, I mean, the channel overall lost in January, and that wasn't reflective completely of my own results for January. Whereas February, March, the channel tanked and I tanked. I mean, in the grand scheme of profit and loss, the point is it doesn't detract from the overall result, and how bad February, March hasn't ultimately impacted. It wasn't when I the way I manage my staking. When I say I lost massive in February, never had a month like that. It in terms of the context of a betting bank, it wasn't like a massive chunk of it. It was reasonable enough to go, that was a bit painful. But yeah, all right. I feel like I was about to say, I don't want to talk, I'm just rambling on, but that was the point. It is the Thursday ramble, isn't it? So some of you this will make sense, and some of it won't make sense. But yeah, not everyone loves the stats, but the stats are key, right? The stats keep you on track. The stats keep you honest about stuff. So if I wasn't into stats, I could just say anything. Every time I hit a winner, I could go, boom, there's a winner. And you'd be like, well done. Yeah, you've got a winner. And we were all excited. But then you don't know, or you don't remember the 29 losers or whatever it was. And stats have, stats, it's not about creative accountancy. I talked about this before once, I think. You do see that a lot out there in tips to land. The creative accountancy. There's lots of different ways you can be creative, right? So, and you see it in business. So when companies announce the Christmas results or the end of year results, every company slightly alters when their year or when Christmas was to make their results look better. There are people who do that in the horse racing tips to land, that will slightly adjust their results. So, they'll say, oh, we're up by this much. And it's like, well, yeah, you might be up by that much in like 20 days, but you've been running a website for years. So are you up or down for that? And that's the thing. So the people that, you do what you want with my tips, whatever. And you might think you might think what I do is great, or you might think I'm a clown. I don't really mind. It's up to you what you think, innit? I'm doing this for the majority that are enjoying what I'm doing. All I'd say is just pay attention. There are folk out there that keep decent profit and loss spreadsheets, and whether they keep them on the spreadsheet or not, what it shows is long-term profitability. You get a lot of losers. You don't have winners every day. But that's normal, right? That is normal. If you look at the bets that are most popular bets on websites and stuff, it's all the short price favourites shoved together. That isn't how you win in the long term. That's how you win. Regularly hit wins, but that's absolutely entirely different to profitability and long term profitability. And what I want to do is try and show people how you can have a bit of hobby. And you can have fun with your hobby, no disrespect to anybody, who puts 1 or 2 horses out a day, and that's what they do. What I'm trying to do is do a little bit more than that. I appreciate I've toned it down a bit since I've come back, but I'm trying to show that actually you can have some multiples and stuff, and actually they're not just whimsical things that you think, oh, it gives you a bit of a dream. You can win off those things, and if you've got value on your side, if you put those horses that are valued together in multiples, longer term, you will win more on multiples than you win on singles. But you just got to feel the pain at points. And what I'm trying to do at the moment with the channel is get that level about with singles, and that's helped us a little bit. Obviously we've had a couple of that day with a couple of nice Yankees, but the win singles, because we've had these horses win at 10s and 12 to 1, and there's a pound on them. When you're getting £10-12 back, or £11-13 back. Those bits help with your coffers. So personally, I'm at the moment, I've definitely altered my own staking personally outside the channel. So most people get what I'm putting up on here is illustrative for the channel. Personal staking is different. My ratio personally, I'm now doing a lot more singles than multiples. Historically, I've done more money on multiples than singles, and it's now the other way around. And that's two reasons really. One is it's hard to get on. So if I'm doing bigger money on singles and less on multiples, that makes my life easier. But also it helps deal with the variance. And I've seen some decent results over the last few months from that respect. But I'm trying to iron out the peaks and troughs, so it doesn't, the losing runs. You can't help a losing run. That's just part of it. But just to make them a little bit smoother. So rather than it go up and eventually up, it's sort of just a bit shallower waves. That's what we'll go with, shallower waves. You get the analogy. And since I've been off the channel, that's definitely smoothed a bit. Whether or not that's just it's the way the flat season's gone, and I've picked horses as I've gone, and it's just gradually been like that, or whether or not actually the fruits of the labour are there, that it lowers down the variance. And that's why in the channel at the moment, roughly speaking, we put the same sort of amount on singles than we do on multiples, whereas historically, if you go way back, there wasn't hardly anything I was doing on singles on here. So it's trying to make it a bit more manageable and a bit more, more days where you don't lose the whole lot. Because, that's it. Right. I've probably given you enough there, haven't I? I think you've milked me enough there. And I appreciate last week you were short-changed because I didn't do one because I ran out of time. But I think that's enough of a ramble. If you don't like it, that's fine. Give me the feedback. Don't watch again, whatever. Just skip this bit. That's why I put all the horses first. But yeah, I guess last thing I'll say is it is nice to be back. I'm kind of it's tiring, as most of you know. I've got a young baby at home, as well as other little people. I mean, I've got loads of them knocking about. Do you know what I mean? I haven't. I've got three. It is a bit tiring. And I'm sort of having to work videos around occasionally having to deal with a crying baby or needing to do some milk or something like that. But generally speaking, it's all right. I'm a little bit on the tired side. I don't think that's impacting what I'm doing in terms of selection process and stuff. I'm happy where we are with that, and I'm money wise, it's been a decent return so far. So let's hope we carry on progressing through October. And we'll see. But yeah, it's just nice, and it's just nice that see all the friendly faces, see all the friendly handles or whatever on YouTube. One of the things, it was never really the intention of the channel, but it's become one of the primary purposes is the community element of the channel. And it's great that people interact on the channel, ask questions, give feedback, share their own thoughts and tips. And someone asked that about the other day. Really, really happy for people to put their own thoughts, their own tips in the comments if they want to share them. Over time, people have realised there are certain people who regularly comment who are actually pretty decent. So there's people out there to be followed. And we're welcome back on the video yesterday. Shane came back, which is really, really nice to see. Sounds like he's had a bit of a tough year. So welcome back, Shane. Very welcome to have you back. You've been a stalwart of the channel. And yeah, the only caveat I'd say, and there's been a bit of that in the last week or so. I'm really cool if you want to put your own selections down in there. But War and Peace on White's in there. People aren't going to read it, so don't waste your time typing it all out. And equally, don't waste your time if you've copied and pasted it from another tipster. I've seen that a few times. Copy and paste it from another tipster site and then just shoved it in there and gone, this is my tip. And it's like, well, it's not really in the spirit, is it? If it's your tip, put it in there. That's fine. Don't mind that. And likewise, like literally verbal diarrhea, just try and minimise that, right? So if you're bagging 6 different horses, put them on one thing, or occasionally it's nice. Marcus is a good one for that. Like he'll follow along, and he might put 3 or 4 out in an evening. If he's going well, he'll put more out, and if he's going less well, he'll put less out. all good with that. But equally, and again, it's when people. The thing I find a bit funny is when people start going, putting points and things on that. If you want to do that, then go and set up your own channel, right? If you want to share what your horses are because you want people to enjoy in your cheer, then that's absolutely fine. But whether you're saying you're putting 100 quid on or 3 points on, is sort of irrelevant to anybody else. Just say it's my favourite horse of the day or whatever it might be. But yeah, it's casual punters sharing what they're doing, and you work out over time who you like and who you don't like and who you ignore or whatever. And the point is, it's a community feel. So when someone wins, they might have had 100 losing comments in a row, but when they get the winner, we'll all be delighted for them, because that's what it's about. And you know, I'd love a day when you literally, because there's a lot of people that sort of do it slightly afterwards sometimes, and they'll say, "Oh, I've had a brilliant day," and you know, that's all fine. Just the day when someone puts up like a 5-horse multiple and they get bang 4 winners in at decent prices, I think I'd genuinely be as excited for them as I would be if it happened on the channel. Just because, yeah, just nice to see people win, because the point is the game is getting harder and harder and harder and harder. And I was having an email exchange the other day, and someone was talking to me about how, like, in their words, that like the heyday from, like, 10, 15 years ago, it was a lot easier. The game gets hard all the time. Like back in the day, you get all these extra places. There was lots of best price guaranteed the night before, and people weren't as sharp with what they were doing. When the internet got really started to get really big, and there was more data and stuff on there, like in the mid noughties, late noughties, whatever. More people were sharing stuff. Before then, it was a bit easier, because people just knew less, and now people know more. But that just moves the market. So I have to constantly evolve what I do when I make horse selections based on what I see happening in the market now, to know whether I think a horse will get backed or not backed or whatever it might be. All right, there we go. The ramble finished and there was an after ramble. There we go. All right, I'm done. Thank you very much. Have a good day. The plan would be I shall be back Friday night for Saturday's racing. Arc de Triomphe weekend. So yeah, hoping to find some interesting things at France over the weekend, as well as UK and Ireland. All right, that's me. Cheerio. Bye bye.